Alright, so I'm having a bit of a beard issue today. Need to get the straighteners out, I think. Anyway, I thought we'd do a little bit of something different today and talk about some biobanding. Okay, so the first thing I should say is that I'm not a sports scientist. Okay, so anything that I know about biobanding, I've picked up from reading other people's work on biobanding. And what I'm trying to do is decide if it's something that I want to use as squad criteria for next year. Okay, so we're in lockdown. We're not really sure how long we're going to be in it. Squads need to be up and running as soon as possible in the next season. So I'm starting to think things through about how we do that. So the first question is, what is biobanding? Okay, basically it's grouping athletes together based on their biological age and maturity rather than their chronological age. All right. So you may have children of different chronological ages who are at the same stage of their biological development in the same groups, working at the same way. Why am I thinking about this? Reading Jan Olbricht's book again. If you haven't read it, it's a wealth of information in there. But on the table, if you look at the blog post, Swim Coach Hill at WordPress.com, I think it is. I put a little table in there that's from his book, and it shows how trainable different energy systems are at different ages. For example, anaerobic capacity really doesn't become trainable in girls until 13 or 14, and in boys until 15 or 16. So what we would generally try to do is group the 13 and 14-year-old boys together, girls together, so that when the coach is applying a session, everybody in the group is getting the same training outcome from the same set. All right, if they do it the right way. So if the coach is writing an anaerobic capacity session and is applying it to a group where anaerobic capacity is potentially not as trainable, then what he thinks he's getting from the set is not what he's getting from the set. Okay? So my thought process then is, what about the athletes who are 13 or 14 but are biologically either a little bit older or a little bit younger? Okay, then we've got them all training in the same chronological age, but we're still not getting the best outcome for the training impetus for what we're putting in. Okay, so we're not getting the maximum return for our work. All right, they're not getting the maximum return for their work. So is it possible to group together athletes who are prepubescent, early pubescent, mid-pubescent, and late or post-pubescent, so that when we apply a training load or a training category to a squad, the majority of people in that squad will get the benefit out of it that the coach has written, the coach thinks they're getting out of it. Now, there are issues around it. How do we measure? How often do we measure? We have to measure everyone, or there's not really a lot of point. And then measuring people also opens up the worry about body image. Okay, so there has to be a big education piece around this as well. If it was something that we were going to try and do, there would have to be a massive educational piece around it, so that people understood why we measure, what we measure, and the rationale behind what we hope to achieve from doing it. All right, so for example, if we look at made-up athletes here, Joe Bloggs, who we measured on the 26th of January. All right, his date of birth is 26th of August 2004. So he is 15 and a half. Okay, he's male.
His height is 165 centimeters and his weight is 57.1 centimeters. Okay, his mother and father's height 182 and 170. Alright, so what the boffins over at Science for Sport have done all the maths here, and it tells us that he has an adult predicted height of 177 centimeters, which means that he has approximately 12 centimeters left to grow, and he's in his mid-puberty. So the same athlete, Joe, it's 15. It's the same athlete. All right, and this little sheet again from Science and Sport gives us some other measurements: height to weight ratio, BMI, sitting height, age and sitting height interaction, age and leg length interactions, and a weight to height ratio. Okay, so it means that they would estimate that he would reach peak height velocity at around 15.8 years. So he's about 0.2, about 3 months off. So potentially the way I would look to use this is to have a little sheet like this that we would use as a tool to help us decide if an athlete was ready to move up. So obviously with swimming being a skill-based sport, the skill level would have to be right, the attendance would have to be right, the performance would have to be right, their emotional and psychological levels would have to be right as well. But then when you put their name into this, it drags together all that other information. So this is Joe. He is a predicted height and 11.7 centimeters left to go. He's mid-pubertal. So this is highlighting him as being almost ready to move. Alright, he's nearly at peak height velocity. He's mid-puberty. And if everything else was in place, this information would give me a grey area. But if everything else was right, I would recommend moving him. The drop down menu means you can pick other people. So if we pick Jamie, Jamie's a little bit younger. As you can see, he's early pubertal, so we'd be saying no moves for Jamie just yet. He's just not physically ready. If we look at Jane is a little bit same age, but again a little bit more mature physically, and is therefore more likely to be moved than not, should all the other elements be in place.
Obviously, if we were going to use biobanding, it couldn't be used exclusively on its own. It would have to be used in conjunction with other things. Swimming is a technical sport, and they would have to have a sufficient skill level. They would also have to have a sufficient level of performance, both in training in the group they're in and in competition. So it would be a case of using biobanding as a tool in conjunction with all those other things to try to get the biggest return for our investment, the investment of time from everyone, so that whenever we look back and we say, well, these are the sessions that we've put in place, we can be reasonably confident that what we have planned is what has been achieved or what has been delivered. And like I said, the jury's still out. I don't know whether we can do it or not. I don't know whether it's even something that I want to do. I think it's an interesting discussion, and in an ideal world, I think that potentially there would have to be some sort of biobanding brought in. Sorry, that's Harper going stir crazy. There'd have to be some sort of biobanding competitions brought in, and I don't even know how you would go about doing that. Because obviously everybody's data would have to be collected across all of swimming for that to work, and I don't see that as being something that can happen anyway soon. But it's an interesting thought. Ultimately for me, the goal would be retention of athletes. So those early developers, the kids who hit puberty and go through puberty a little bit earlier than everyone else, or a little bit stronger in the junior squads, we would have solid evidence to back up why we're promoting them a little bit quicker. Equally, the late developers, the kids who are just a little bit later to come through physically, we have reasons that we can sit down and say, look, your time will come. We're not going to put you in a group where you are going to really, really, really struggle. We're going to keep you in a group with people who are of the same physical maturity as yourself, and you will get the biggest benefit from training. Anyway, that's the reason I started looking at this. So it's just a little short one today. Like I said, I haven't really decided if it's something that I 100% want to go with. I think it's just in lockdown, it giving me something else to think about. Hopefully it'll start some sort of a conversation with people. And I know some people that I've already spoken to are opposed to it. Some people are reasonably in favour with it. But I think it's interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go and try and sort out this beard here and see what the crack is. Alright, so thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out some of our other videos. Don't know about here, I don't know. But see you next time.